we're here at European Blockchain Convention, and now I'm talking to Thomas Moser. For decades, you have been working with financial sphere, and when Bitcoin appeared, what were your thoughts and expectations? Did you expect it to be a bad thing, a good thing?
I thought it was a very interesting thing because you had a privately issued money, which is not something totally new, but it was in the digital world, something that clearly was different. And then, given that the distributed ledger technology, I think it was very interesting how it solved an issue that was not solved until the moment Bitcoin came, namely how do you maintain integrity in a fully distributed system. And Bitcoin, I think, was the first technical solution that achieved that and made privately issued money on that scale possible. So I felt that was very interesting.
What's your opinion on CBDC and which countries will be the first ones to adopt it?
And I wouldn't be surprised if eventually central banks will issue that. But it's very important that the central banks get the design right, not the technical design, but the economic design, so as not to introduce new or additional financial stability risks. In terms of which country will be the first one, I wouldn't be surprised if China will be the first one. I think they are quite advanced. It's also a bit easier if you have a lot of control over your private sector to introduce something like that. Another country that might be one of the first would be the Marshall Islands. I know that they are working on a project. For completely different reasons. They don't have their own currency yet, and they have a lot of problems with correspondence banking. So they are working on introducing their own digital currency to be better able to connect with the rest of the financial system internationally.
Is cryptocurrency a threat to traditional banking, in your opinion?
I don't think it's a threat. So it clearly adds competition to the banking sector and to national banks, but I think competition is good. It forces us to be more efficient and also to be more innovative.
So what's your anticipation? Do you think these both systems will exist at the same time, or one will replace the other one?
So my expectation comes from when I look at history. And in history, very often you had innovations when it comes to money. You had innovations in the private sector, and then you had a lot of people losing money, getting cheated. There were some security issues, and then a lot of times the state came in by regulating it, like banknotes, for instance. Banknotes were invented in the private sector, and then regulation came in, and in the end it was nationalized, and the central banks took that over. And I wouldn't be too surprised if something similar happens here, that you have the innovation from the private sector, and eventually the state takes that over, and then the cycle starts anew again. You have new innovation in the private sector that makes it more efficient, whatever is used, and then you have the state come in again, regulate, and eventually taking it over. So I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens here.
As we know, Switzerland is a really proactive country in terms of blockchain adoption, cryptocurrency adoption. So why did Switzerland choose such a favorable position towards such things as cryptocurrencies?
I think it was first the cryptocurrencies or the fintech entrepreneurs who chose Switzerland for various reasons, and then once you have a community there, I think it attracts new members in the community, and Zug was clearly one of these examples, especially since the cryptocurrency Ether, the founder, moved to Zug, and I think he attracted a lot of interest in a lot of other companies. And then you had the reaction from the canton of Zug to be favorable to this innovation because they see it as a future.
Do you think Switzerland is already a hub for cryptocurrencies or not yet?
It is true that you can very easily buy Bitcoin in Switzerland. Every train ticket machine allows you to buy Bitcoin, but I think we still have to keep in mind that it's still a very small part of the economy. And if you look at the use of regular currencies, then currencies like Bitcoin are still a very small part. It's growing, but it's still very small.
What is the next step for blockchain and cryptocurrencies in Switzerland?
As you know, Switzerland, we like to vote. We vote often. And I wouldn't be surprised if some cantons start thinking about a blockchain-based voting system. In terms of cryptocurrencies, I think an interesting development is that the Swiss exchange has been, to my knowledge, the worldwide first exchange to allow trading of an ETF based on cryptocurrencies. So I think that there might be some new innovations, especially since the Swiss exchange intends to become fully digital by the middle of next year.
Thank you so much for your time, Thomas. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Sophia.